are you? What are you doing here?
I already know about you at this point. I already know about you at this point. Whoever it is, too much.
What?
She said he was crushing you. This was the issue.
Stay against the wall. Don't move.
I always forget, though.
What are you doing here?
I said back against the wall. Do it now.
Don't forget it every time.
I wasn't a cop. You'd be dead already.
There y'all go. Come on in the building. You guys come on in the building. Yo, good people. It's your homie HerbMan. Let's see you back upside of here with another hot banger boogie. Go tell somebody. Homie HerbMan is on. Yes, sir. And if you're new to the program, welcome. Please follow, like, share, and subscribe on the other platforms at Love HerbMan. All right, so I'm your neighborhood holistic practitioner. I'm your homie HerbMan. We're coming at you live today, man, teaching you a little bit more about what we continue to keep talking about. Excuse the noise in the background, you guys, but what we continue to keep talking about, which is how to heal yourself. You cannot heal yourself unless you know thyself. We teach you about the human frame and the human design when you're coming up on this HerbMan show. Look, you guys, also, this is an interactive program. I do take feedback from you guys. I do interact with you guys. So if you are bold enough, willing enough, right, to be able to come on to the show, then obviously, yeah, you can come on. Just let me know you want to get invited up. We'll talk to you and we'll walk you through some of these dynamics as well from what we found about natural remedies and about natural healing. Okay, and so this is the free information station, you guys. Free information station. The only thing that you got to do to pay for this information is simply pay attention. And how you do that is by double tapping that screen. Let's get us up to 100K. All right. Now, we already know how this goes. Once we get to 1,000 likes, we'll get into the subject matter at hand. But we just continue to keep expounding on the owner's manual. But what I really want to continue to keep expounding on is how to know the when. How to know the when of a thing. Know when is enough before you get a disease. To know when to do something after you've gotten the disease. Okay? To know when something is enough before you lose the job. Or to know when to call in order for you to get the job, right? The knowing, the when. Knowing when. Okay? This is what has projected us in the history as some of the top people, is because we had a knack of knowing when. We had a knack of knowing how. We had a knack of knowing why. We had a knack of understanding what. We had a knack. And you call that knack basic instincts, which we begin to start to lose as we continue to modernize ourselves. Now we're using all of the gadgets around us, but the one gadget that's in us. Okay, and that gadget that's in you is that you already have the ability to find direction, but you must focus on the direction in order for you to find it. But you have the functionality to find direction. You have this thing in you that can activate something in you that can find you to where you're really trying to be. Everybody's not trying to be the same thing, but what I'm trying to get you to hear, that when I'm talking to you, is that everybody has this thing in them that can get them to the person that they're trying to be. Who that person may be. Whomever you think of, you could be. There's something in you that can actually get you to become that person. But you got to know how to tap into it. Well, with that same ingenuity that it would require in order for you to progress in capitalism or in this particular structure that you're in, is also the same thing that you got to utilize, but you got to know when. Now, when? Anybody know when? All right, everybody want to know when? What's going on, you guys? What's going on? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome, YouTubers. Welcome, TikTokers. What happened? We're coming live from South Africa, man. Again, I'm your homie. I'm your holistic practitioner. Let me show you something. The knowing when is what's separating the 1% from the 99%. First of all, you have a lack of knowledge of how to get in alignment with nature, which is your first valuability. Because you came into a natural design being oblivious of how it works. You came into an earth realm just preparing for you to live in your world. But don't you know that your world is going to be influenced by the earth realm? So you took no thought into learning about environment and climate and weather and knowing about plants and animals and knowing about atmosphere and knowing about meteorology and the cumulonimbus cloud and the Sirius cloud and all these little different little, you know what I'm saying? These little clouds, but you don't know what makes weather, what makes environment. And that's what we went wrong. Okay? Now, what makes environment we've already established in previous lives before is we know that it's temperature and fluids, right? That a proper amount of sunlight comes down from the sun, hits the ocean bed, hits the ocean surface, all right? That creates this humidity in the air, which ultimately gives us temperature. Now, let me tell you about that again, because I know I got some young folk in the class today that probably didn't hear that. Temperature and fluid creates environment. Environment is climate, right? A climate, the weather. And you need the weather in order for you to have some kind of ingredients for survival, whether it be enough nitrogen in the air, oxygen in the air, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So these gases and all this stuff is what we ultimately is going to call environment, right? So temperature, sun, meets the fluids in the planet, and that creates the environment, climate. But you don't know a whole lot about that when it comes to things that you can't control, which is the same thing as the earth. You can't control the earth, but you ain't learning from what you can't control. You only learn from what you can. So this whole spiritual side of you, this whole I'm sick and don't know how to heal myself is foreign to you when it shouldn't be. No matter how long you've been going to church, you can't get into this realm that I'm speaking of, but you know it exists. That's why you keep going to church. Know that there's something on the other side of this thing that you can't explain, that is unknown, but you're scared of it. First of all, it is a thing of where it's more comfortable to know that it exists, to know that it exists. And so what happens is there's lessons that come with the knowing when that you don't want to challenge yourself to understand and know that when we came into this paradigm, they made oblivious for us to understand. So you only know your world and how to build and construct and destruct the world that you create, but you don't know the earth in which you have to create that world in and how it's going to influence the destruction and the construction of your world. Okay, now let's keep this going. There are 2 times a month. Well, actually, there are 4 times a month. Okay, you got waxing, you got waning, you got the new moon, and you got the full moon. So there's 2 times of the month where actually high tide and low tide take place. You can say 4. Okay, knowing these moments will increase opportunity. The high tide of life is about invitation, inviting. Somebody put invite. The high tide is a time to invite, a time to rest, a time to meditate, a time to invite things into your life. Be more magnetic, right? So this is that magnetic time that I was telling you about. Also, the high tide is when you're at your spiritual high. This is the pineal, okay? This is when you're able to activate the pineal, the third eye. I'm teaching you how to ascend. I'm not only just teaching you how to ascend, I'm going to teach you how to activate your healing, teach you how to meditate, pray, think about things, how to focus, concentrate on something to make something happen. In the what you would call the mystical or the magical or the miracle world, or what you would call the spiritual world. There are, I repeat, 2 to 4 times. But just scientifically, they're going to say 2 times a month where you get high tide and a low tide. The high tide is a time that is happening to you whether you believe in this or not. The high tide is happening to you whether you believe in me or what I'm saying or this information or not. It happens scientifically. And because it's happened scientifically and we can go off a factual phenomenon that's happening, now we can go off the spiritual implications of that scientific matter. So now you can build faith off of fact. Now here we got a fact of knowing that the high moon and the high tide and the low tide happen twice a month. High tide, low tide. We also know that high tide spiritually means the time of invitation. Now you get about a week or so of each of these, right? So now I'm able to know when a week that I can really sit back, rest, and really conjugate up and really, really manifest what I really am trying to do. But I can do it magnetically, draw it in, meaning that this time I don't want to do a whole lot of physical, I want to do more spiritual intake. That's my high tide. My low tide is telling me that this is the time to release. So I invite and I release. Some of you are trying to invite at the time of the month when you're supposed to release. Okay? This is why you don't know how to heal yourself. It's how to tap in. You can only do this on a supernatural level if you get back into alignment with nature. That's how they did it. That's why you don't know nothing about how they did the pyramids and all these other artifacts that they find in different India, all kinds of stuff. Man, they done did so much stuff around this globe without that much instrumentation as you would think. But the instrumentation was this sign, this signal. This is an instrumentation. This is the ankh. This is the cross. This is the ecliptic of the sun. This is the infinity sign. This is the swastika. Okay, with everything pointing to the left, let you know counterclockwise on the zodiac wheel. This is everything inclusive the yin and the yang. This is the doshas, kapha, pitta, vata. This is the 4 elements, the 5 elements. This is everything. This is the medicine wheel of the native Indians. This is even modern medicine. This is their symbol, the cartouche. This is everything. This is religion. This is everything. This is your finances. This is DNA strand. The yellow brick road. The 12 disciples. The 12 cranial nerves. The 12 salts. This is everything. All number crunched up into one. And we'll let you have access to this program to heal yourself for a funky, easy little $50. If you guys are interested in that, please DM me and we'll get you the information that you need. Now, with that being said, understanding that this phenomenon is happening 2 times a month, now if I can just get on board, everybody's asking me, how do I get in alignment? So we're narrowing it down to the win of your life. Okay. So now you know that, okay, now there is 2 times a month, there is a few times a day, there's a few times a week, meaning there's a few times a year that I can really start to ride the waves of life. Okay. So now let's go to this right here. I got some receipts for you guys. Keep tapping, you guys. I'll keep talking. Keep tapping and I'll keep talking. Okay. All right. So really quick. We'll come back to this, but real quick this month, right? So the full moon is anytime you can see the moon fully, right? So you'll see that between the 8th of June, all right, almost to the 15th. That was your full spectrum. The full moon is the high tide. Okay, everybody understand that the full moon is your high tide. This is the best time for manifestation. This is the best time for invitation, for magneticism. This is the best time for prayers. This is the best time for enlightenment. This is the best time for you to start doing all those things. High tide is when you're at your highest frequency to be able to get into this realm. But you got to know how to use high tide. See, high tide is your abundance. It's the one that you're looking for. It's the blessing tide. Okay? Now, even though you don't know this, I'm talking to you guys out there. Y'all can't see it. Go to moontracks.com. If you're on YouTube, go to moontracks.com and pull up the monthly moon phase. All right, go to moontracks.com for you guys that are on YouTube and pull up the monthly moon phase, and you'll be right on what we're talking about. A full moon is high tide. Now, the good thing about YouTube and TikTok is right now when I'm teaching, YouTube can see it. I got the TikTok if you don't want to see it. So everybody getting a little bit best of both worlds. Okay. Now the dark moon. Y'all see how dark that moon is when it comes to the 22nd? Okay. That is new moon. New moon is gonna be when your what? Your low tide. New moon is gonna be your low tide. Okay. The solstices are also low tide times, and the equinoxes are high tide times. But there's so many other stuff in between that for you to catch the drift at what's going on. So we want to teach you guys how to do this by a monthly to a day-to-day basis. Okay. All right. So now we understand that high tide is new moon, full moon, and we understand that low tide is new moon. We understand that low tide is a time to release. Low tide is a time to detox. Low time is a time for that. I always call it, it's that spiritual side of life that's going to be more revealing, more revelation. Even in your week, if you think about what's going on last month or this month, you will see that you probably had one of your better weeks that month, that week of June the 8th, just haphazardly. And it's not talking about a good or bad thing, but it's more talking about how do I jump on the opportunities. If you learn this, you know the stock market. If you learn this, you know financial literacy. If you learn this, you know gardening. If you learn this, you learn agriculture. If you learn this, you know how to turn something into something. You know how to use the resources, which is your natural resources, which is why I'm teaching you guys planetary understanding for your health benefits, because you can't heal yourself if you don't know thyself. You can't know thyself if you don't know nature. And your nature is included in these lessons. The more I am exposing to you natural occurrences, I'm basically talking about your health. Don't ever come on my show and get lost in the sauce, but that he just talking about plants and animals. I am always talking in parables, using natural phenomena to really illustrate what's going on in you, but also the power that you possess in the same likewise. So now this man just told me that I got a high time of the month that I can start being magnetic and draw the things that I want in my month. And then I got time to where I can release the things I want to release. Listen to what he just said. This man just telling me that now it's times of the month that I can draw things unto me. And then there's other times of the month that I could release things that I don't want. And this duality of draw in and release is happening on a monthly basis, that I can start to now get in tune with what's going on. And the same thing as the invite and the release is going to be the same thing as the body and the spirit. Okay? The body and the spirit, it's the same thing. It's the same thing as the feminine energy, because the full moon is the feminine energy. Okay? That's that higher self-consciousness. That's that high rise, that high tide. So that high tide is what? Spiritual. Magnetism. Now you're using this instead of body all the time. So there's going to be a week where you use your spirit, and then there's going to be a week where you use your body. Okay? And then if you start to add these in to understand the waxing and the waning, low tide, okay, low tide will always have the same results as a waning moon. So now you got 4 times. Okay. Again, you guys that are on YouTube, y'all go to moontracks.com and look up what we're talking about. It's the moon phase calendar. But then you got waxing and waning. Well, waxing tends to accommodate the high tide, while waning tends to accommodate the functionality of the low tide. So now I got 4 times to understand things, to where it may require me to do this, that, and the third. Now, because the moon is also going to control the waters and what we're talking about here, the tides, now we can get back down into the body and understanding that you are 75% water. Okay? When you get to your higher self, there's going to be energy that you're going to burn, energy that you're going to use up, toxicity that you're going to create being in this higher space. That the low tide coming in needs to help you detoxify. Let me repeat that. Being in your higher self will create a byproduct, a waste product. Okay? That low tide, you really need to understand how to cleanse yourself in that time. So you got a time of healing, you got a time of cleansing, but ultimately you got this time of transformation. Okay? So now when you're talking about healing and when you're talking about being able to tap in, then you got to know when. And I just gave you that. Literally, I just gave you when. So for this month already, the full moon gone. That time of healing has left. Then the other time would have been what? The full moon is going to be with the waxing moon, where you get a little bit shorter time. These are the timings of things. This is the moon's importance to my findings. Nothing more than this, just to illustrate the tides, right? To understand the waters of the body, because that is really very important to understand is the tides of the body. Now, with that being said, we see that the high tide happened through the 8th through the 15th. So then we come here and we can see that the 8th would have required Scorpio. So that's a water element. So that's the one. That's one we can start off with, the water element. The 9th, fire element, Sagittarius. The 12th, Capricorn, the earth element. And the 15th would have been Aquarius, the air element. So it required 4 elements. These 4 elements, whomever you are, if you know when to do this on this high tide, you would have benefited the most. The most. Also, those things could be life lessons. Those things could be things like when you're talking about, well, who was June the 8th of the Scorpio, right? Scorpio can be that I wish in you, right? That I wish. All right? What's that? The Sagittarius can be the I see. The Capricorn can be the I use. And the Aquarius can be the I know. So you're taking those 4 quadrants of yourself. You know, you're taking those 4 understandings of self, right? Scorpio being that part of you that Scorpio being that part of you where you know you're a wisher, right? You're a hoper, you're a dreamer, you're a wisher, right? And then you have that part of you, Sagittarius, being that I see. It's what I see, I understand, and know, right? And then so these are some of the things that you can start to utilize as you manifest. I want to manifest what I wish, manifest what I see, manifest what I, there you go now, what I use. I want to manifest what I know. Bam. Now I got the words to go along with manifestations. That's high tide. Low tide is the new moon. That's happening during the 22nd through the 29th. Okay, 7 days. Let's go there. Okay, so 22nd gonna be Taurus. First sign, that's one element. Gemini, that's the air element. Cancer is the water. Leo is the fire. Okay, 4 elements. Each time they're using 4 elements. Okay, it's going through 4 elements. So that means it's going through an entire cycle without you even knowing and understanding it. Okay, so now we're looking at what's that? June 22nd. So we're looking at Taurus. Okay, looking at Taurus. We're looking at Gemini, Cancer, Leo. So Taurus has always been that what? That I have. The I have type of person. Now, this is a part of life where you're releasing. So it may be some things that you want to release. I want to release some of the stuff I have. You see now? I wanna release some of the stuff that I think, the Gemini. Okay. I want to release the stuff that I feel, Cancer. Okay. I want to release, right? And these are the dynamics in which you can now start to put words with what it is that you want to do and start to capitalize on these times. Yeah, release what I be thinking. Yeah, but knowing how to do it in the right times. And what I'm saying is everybody can do this. So when we're all in Taurus, because we're all gonna be in Taurus. So not only can the actual Taurus do this, but when we're in Taurus, you know that you're going to be in new moon. So you start to release what Taurus stands for. Okay, so now from the 22nd, June 22nd, that's when the new moons happen. I know that the new moon is in Taurus. So guess what? I'm gonna release what I have, something that I have of mine, something that I want to feel like I have a personal possession of. I want to give it away. And these gestures, giving back to nature, shows how in tune you are to nature. So Taurus would be a personal possession that you have that you would basically sacrifice back to nature. Okay, that's how you do it. Gemini would be what I think. There's something that you think all the time that you just want to get it off your mind and give it back to nature. You see that? The Cancer, it would be what I feel. There are feelings that you're holding on to that you just can't do nothing about. In these times, you would release that feeling and give it back to nature. You see? You see? These are the types of things that we have to learn about how to understand how to ride the waves of life. Okay? And the more we understand them, the more we're gonna be better out. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me get this off the screen. All right, put some ones in the chat if y'all get it. If y'all got it, put some ones in the chat if y'all get it and y'all got it. All right, we back. So yeah, man. So these things go all the way throughout life. So to ride these waves is for you to understand when, when do I invite the things into me that I really want to do in this particular paradigm, and when do I release the things from me that I really can't take along the ride? And you'll realize that when we get this proper balance of invite, release, then we're always lighter as the feather. We're always content. We're always in balance, which means that we're always cured of our situation. Now you could think about this and see where the problem coming in. Either you inviting too much in, or you ain't releasing enough out, or you releasing too much out and you ain't inviting enough in. You see, you can tell well the it's so many words that I can keep putting into these two different balancing acts and dynamics, but it is what it is. Thought creates feelings. Those two things is thought and feeling. They create the baby, which is action. You're gonna do something. You got to know how to balance your thoughts and feelings because that's what's going to ultimately balance your behaviors. Your behaviors are your babies. Them the ones that are your ideals. Them the ones that are your beliefs. Your behaviors are your actions. It's where you go. It's what you do. It's what you say. It's how you appear. It's all the things that create your persona or image is based on your actions, because we don't know what's on the inside of you until you do something or say something. We don't know how you felt this morning until we saw what you put on. And then we might say, girl, you must have felt glooming today with all them pastel colors on. But I would only know that because of what you're wearing, right? So there's no way in other than to know and observe the outward applications of a person. So then how do we get in order to understand that just because I ain't in don't mean I can't see what's happening in. So you have to understand that when the shield break, when the scale break, when the seesaw break, then this is when the imbalance comes in. You can call it cancer, call it disease. I'm just gonna call it what I've been calling it. It's a death consciousness. We haven't been showed and illustrated what life looks like, literally on a picture. And now, for the first time here on TikTok, within the last few months here, you guys have been getting drilled in the head that this is the illustration that you've been looking for. It is the ultimate synopsis of all of nature's equational functionality, which means that it's a math machine. This is a math machine. This is a math machine. You put a math in there, it'll spit out some things that may be accurate. If so, then it's also going to be some remedies that may be accurate. And that, I'm just going to say that. It's just for TikTok. But we know what this is. This is nature. Okay? And it's just a mathematical equation. You give me a birth date, we don't need a blood type, we don't need a blood sample, we don't need a hair sample, we don't need a saliva sample, stool sample, we don't need a urine sample. We're not gonna prick you, prod you, or poke you. This is non-invasive and non-intrusive, all for a measly, funky $50. And your birthday introduce you back to nature and allow it to spit out this. We're not asking no machine to do it. We're not asking for you to stand on that little machine that y'all be at your little naturopathic doctors. Yeah, I know what the naturopathic doctors be doing. Y'all got the little biometric machine. That shit ain't gonna do nothing. You can't ask no machine. You can't ask no inorganic material to help you solidify organic matter, to help you judge and to help you repair unorganic matter. Yeah, I ain't saying that technology is not all that, but it's still got to be. When you see that little mechanical robot arm, there's a man in the back moving it on. That arm ain't just moving by itself. They ain't got that yet. It's human intellect, which means that it's nature. We might not be our natural selves, but we still are considered a part of nature. And so the superiority in the artificial intelligence is in the natural intelligence that created the artificial intelligence. So the brain power is by far better than Microsoft could ever be. The brain power is by far better than Google. The brain power is by far better than any computer because the brain, the motherfucker that created it. The brain is better than TikTok. The brain is better than YouTube because the brain created those things. So I ain't gonna never ever give creation props more than the creator. So even in that, I started to see that a human is better than technology. And that means that this piece of nature is better than what we can create. So therefore, instead of me going to a machine and trying to create a machine, let me just go back to nature with the math and let nature spit out the remedies for natural things. And let's see if this is better than modern medicine. And so far, so good, man. I've created my business off of this. My business has always been Zodiac theme. Okay, we got the 4-element native detox. We got the fire tonic, air tonic, water tonic, earth tonic. We got the 5th element. I mean, everything that we've been doing, we built a company off of this information, so we know that it's very, very highly effective and very, very successful, and it's going to continue to be As long as you guys continue to keep sharing the information, helping us get this information out, we'll be able to reach the billions on the planet. We feel like everybody should have this. So look, it would go higher than 50 bucks. If anything, it'll go lesser. But we try to keep it accessible, affordable, and highly effective for each of us on the planet. All right. Now, who don't know when to do something? Or who got a problem with when to heal, when to do this and when to do that? Let me get this out the way before we start going any deeper. Okay? If you guys are interested in your owner's manual, please DM us and we'll get you the information that you need. Okay? High tide, low tide. High tide, low tide. Okay? I guess hey, any questions? Question come up. Any questions? Please keep tapping the screen, you guys. I'll keep talking, keep tapping the screen. I will keep on talking to you. All right. Let's get us up to 100K. This is the best thing on TikTok. I know it's Saturday morning, but I got to get you. My Saturday been going. My Saturday about to end. Y'all just beginning over there. We've been crunk over him. All right. Question number one. Who that come from? So healing during the low tide. Low tide, again, is going to be more about detoxification. Remember that this conjugating up, this magneticism, this high tide ability to tap in, right? Just getting to this higher consciousness, it is going to create a lot of energetic, okay? Because you building up, you're at your highest frequency, right? And when you understand this, during the high tide, you're at your highest frequency. This is the spiritual realm that you've been missing because it's been now. Now, the thing about it is we really don't miss it because it's happening to you. You just don't know why. Now you're going to start realizing why. Okay. So the low tide is for detoxification and for cleansing of that energy that you have exuded in the high tide. But the energy that you exude in the high tide is not necessarily physical, it's spiritual, it's magnetic, it's the dreams, it's the imagination, it's the prayers, it's the meditations, it's the focus, it's the concentration, it's the thought life, right? Right? And then that low tide, that's the time for you to go out there and plant, right? Plant your seeds. That's the time for you to go out there. You'll see that if you're looking at an illustration of the ocean, when the water recedes, right? When the water recedes from the shoreline, it starts to reveal different things on the shore, seashells and starfish and all this type of stuff, right? So you'll see that low tide, that recession time, that release time is a time of revealing what needs to be waste and what needs to, what just happened. What I just did at high tide, is it there internally? So you get release, but you also, in the low tide, not only is it a release point, but it's also a cleansing. So that's why I call get the baggage out. So you can call cleansing detoxification. Call cleansing letting go and releasing emotional trauma. Right? These emotional traumas right here, I would say that you want to get rid of these during the low tide. Right? That at every recession, that tide take it away. So therefore, low tide would be the time that I start to release some of these spiritual tendencies that we have over here that you get with your honest man. At low tide. Low tide, in other words, is going to be during the what? The new moon. You release during the new moon. You attract during the full moon. Right? Electric during the new moon. Magnetic during the full moon. I get how this going now? Physical, masculine energy, physical body, new moon. spiritual, feminine energy, creative energy, full moon. There's got to be a time for you to conjugate up it, and then there's got to be a time for you to do it. Thought and feeling creates action. If I want to heal myself, some of you guys are just missing the time when. I'm telling y'all, some of y'all just missing the time when. You got the words, you got the prayer life, you got the belief, you got all of this, but you guys don't know when to do it. Because sacred information ain't taught at church. I ain't mean that. I'm sorry to hit somebody upside the head, because I know y'all going down that way tomorrow, and that's all right. But just know that you ain't listening to nothing sacred. That shit been circulation 1,000 years. It's not sacred. Everybody should know the Bible by now, right? So that's not sacred knowledge that you're reading. So the sacredness of something, it comes in the secrecy of life. And understand that we've been talking to you about thought and feeling, agitating each other, creating a baby called thought. We're keeping it in a reproductive understanding, because if you're trying to reproduce your kidney, if you're trying to reproduce your liver, if you're trying to reproduce your blood cells, if you're trying to reproduce your immune system, lymphatic system, if you're trying to reproduce a child and you've been infertile, if you're trying to reproduce these things, then you must understand how that happens. You got to understand how that happens. And it's in this illustration that you'll see the balancing act to create the result of something. You're looking for yourself to be able to heal yourself. There's a process that has to happen. Bank on it, and that thought got to create a feeling, and then that feeling got to create an action. And that's going to happen whether you move your finger or whether you move the cells in your finger. Y'all didn't hear that, so let me say that one more time. That's going to happen whether you move your finger or whether you move the cells in your finger. Can you explain when to do the different affirmations? Yes, that's what I was trying to teach you guys. The different affirmations are going to come off. You guys can just keep following me. You guys, we're going to post what I just showed you up here. And then that way you know. But you can always go to somewhere and look up the affirmations or the mottos for the zodiac. I don't know all of them off the top of my dome. I know Aries should be the I am. Okay. The I am. Taurus is going to be the I have. And then the Gemini would be the I think, right? So these are all going to be the spring, right? And the spring is always going to be about the things evolving around self, okay? Self, right? So you have self in Aries. Then you got personal possessions in the Taurus that I have, right? So I am. I'm working on self. I'm working on I am. That's the Aries in you. I'm working on what I have. That's my personal possession. That's the Taurus. I'm working on what I think this world is like, and this, that. So that's the communicator, the philosopher in you, Gemini, right? And then you got I feel with Cancer. I can't remember Leo off the top of my dome, but then you have the I scrutinize with the Virgo, right? So you got the I feel. I scrutinize with the Virgo. This is going to be a time of, again, for me, this is a time of where you're going into what you do for others, right? Or a time of what you do for yourself, but still, it's not like a self-awareness type of thing like spring to me. Spring to me is all self-development, where summer is more like you getting out, going to daycare with some other children now. So now you got to figure out how to function with other folk around you, other things that you want to do with people, right? So it's more about your social awareness. But spring is self-awareness. Summer could be more social awareness, right? or just a little bit of something like that, right? And then you come into your fall time, so we know that Libra is going to be I think that's the what I I build together something with you. I know it's doing something together with somebody. Then you got the Scorpios. I think the Scorpio is going to be. Um, I just had Scorpio. Sagittarius is I see. Capricorn is I use. Aquarius is I know. And Pisces is I believe. Okay. But again, you go look up those things, man. That's something that somebody else made up. So you can take that with you. But for me, I just more or less look at it as being able to understand what is it a part of me that I may need to manifest on. Sitting those dates. Obviously, you don't want to do the whole detoxification or the whole week of whatever. Now, I would suggest you do that, right? So that means that you're going to take in all four of those elements. So that means you'll do the 3 days that Taurus give you, the 3 days that Gemini give you, the 3 days that Cancer give you, and I think it's like 2.5. So 2.5 times 4 is gonna be what 10, right? 2.5 is 5, plus another 5 is 10. So you're looking at about 10 days for a new moon and 10 days roughly for the full moon. Okay, you're riding the waves. That's when you're tapping into the airwaves. That's when you're riding the waves. That's when you're in tune, right? In tune. But understand, don't try to overly consume these moments because, again, you're going to create a lot of energetic waste in your high tide. So you want to be able to lend that moment out for release, for detoxification, for cleansing. You don't, and you get too high mighty on what you're doing over here because you've been broke all your life, and somebody else gave you the keys to financial freedom, and you've been sick all your life. Somebody else gave you the keys to healing freedom, and you think that you just finna not ducking dodges over here, you still gonna end up in a casket. And the whole point to this is for you to avoid ever having to worry about a casket. So you still would defeat the purpose. You cannot misuse this. It won't work for you. You won't acknowledge what the point of is. The whole point to what we're giving you is to live everlasting life, 120 years. If I teach you how to live 120 years, you will live 240. You'll live 360, and ultimately you'll live forever. So what we're teaching you is the key to everlasting life. It ain't gonna happen just to get you to 70, 80. You can do that on your own. This would still be of no full benefit to you if it don't get you to 120 years or more. Just try to use it like a genie in the bottle, and you just, your days are numbered. But does that mean you will get wealth or you will get, yeah, you'll probably get it. You just want to live along with it. Everybody has to have a certain amount of stewardship over the knowledge that they're receiving. Everybody has to have a certain amount of you know judgment based on that stewardship of the information you're receiving. Like I told y'all yesterday, what is soot? Soot is an incomplete organic matter. You're watching me right now. I am organic matter coming into your circumference, right? But if you can't properly digest, aka burn, what I'm putting out into your energy vortex, then guess what? You created soot from this information instead of something that comes from fertile silk because you couldn't properly digest mentally what was being told, or you couldn't digest the food that was being given. So anytime that we are hit with organic matter, which we are every single day, you got to know what to do with it. Now, do you know when to invite the devil in or not, or when to release the devil out or not? They said a vampire can't come in until you invite him in. Now, you got a vampire in your body called the virus or a cancer, and you can't release it because you don't know when and you don't know how to do it. Okay? All right? Yeah, our balance. Yeah, Libra is our balance. Yeah, there you go. But the bottom line is everybody has these different things. So you're looking at Aries with that high sense of self. Then you also look at the Librian qualities that Aries have, where not only are they self-centered, but they're also partnership driven. Aries. The same way a Libra could be partnership driven, but also self-centered, just like an Aries could be self-centered, but also partnership driven. You see? So to understand the two dynamics within you is what I'm talking about. So that means that every Aries got a Librian quality. And what this means to me is that you got a high tide, low tide probability in you all the time. Now, my only job when I get this understanding is to know how to time it with nature. So HerbMan teaching me every Aries, no matter who you are, got a Libra quality. So everybody who's an Aries got Librian quality. When the sun is in Aries in the northern hemisphere, it's in Libra in the southern hemisphere. Right now, the sun is in Gemini, where y'all at in America. Okay, the sun is in Gemini. Right, it's from 10 to 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm in South Africa, so I'm up under the southern hemisphere. So you must understand the difference between what these suns are at. Okay, so without understanding these